Welcome to another episode of AutoFix-Advisor Cast with your host, Michael Doherty, sponsored by WorldPack and the WorldPack Training Institute. This podcast is your go-to source for service advising and automotive industry insights. Be sure to check out www.worldpack.com for the latest in auto parts distribution and www.wtitraining.com to explore training programs that can take your career to the next level. Stay connected with WorldPack Training Institute on their Facebook page and join the community at the STX Training and Expo by following this group. Don't forget to mark your calendars for the 2026 WorldPack STX this coming August at the Gaylord Washington in DC. It will be a can't miss event. So, Service Advisor Nation, good afternoon, and I hope you guys and gals are doing well. Today, I would love to talk about sharpening the pencil to improve skills. And the areas of improvement for that were actually brought to my attention by a coworker about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more. She's one of our business managers, and she had actually come up with a Google Doc. It's a weekly Google Doc, and it's actually called a Service Advisor Audit. And basically what that is, it's 12 pieces of information that we are graded on a weekly basis as service advisors working with that business. Initially, I thought to myself, man, this is going to be one more thing that I'm going to have to do. Actually, 12 more things that I'm going to have to do on a weekly basis. And honestly, these are all things that we should be doing anyways as service advisors, but it also has helped me develop or find out pattern failure, as the questions are basically checked as a yes, no, or not available. And I'll get into that in a second. But again, sharpening the pencil to improve skills. And it's, really brought to me more accountability in the things that I do on a daily basis for the clients and the team. And I've got, the chance to improve and be more consistent in doing things. And that's always important. And there's growth found in those things too. But for number one, correct vehicle check-in pictures. And I think that is very important because I don't know if most shops are doing it, but Shopware from a point of sale system, you have the ability to upload photos. And I think most point of sale systems do these days as well. But for correct vehicle check-in pictures, what we're looking for is obviously with the vehicle running, if possible. For vehicles that are towed in a non-running condition, obviously it's a little more difficult, but once you're able to access the odometer reading and such, but correct vehicle check-in pictures, I would say, are going to be taking a minimum of 10 pictures. We're taking a picture of the VIN plaque on the vehicle. If some of them have been scraped off of, I've seen in the past on vehicles for various reasons, likely body work. You can always find one typically at the windshield, or on Lexus and Toyota products, there's one underneath the license plate, and there's virtually one, I believe, on every door panel as well, on the inside of the door area, door jamb. But correct vehicle check-in pictures, looking for a VIN plaque picture, the vehicle running with an odometer picture, looking at the driver's side of the vehicle, passenger side of the vehicle, rear of the vehicle, front of the vehicle, windshield, checking that for cracks. And the ones that have crept up on me over the years have been the ones that are kind of right by the wiper blades at the base of the cowl that you really don't see. They're super visible, but can change at a moment's notice. I've had that happen a couple times. Client brings a vehicle in, and there'll be not very small, but there'll be a small impact toward the base of the cowl. And, if you've brought the vehicle into the shop that day, if it's a hot summer day, it cools down while it's in the shop and it goes back out to the hot parking lot. Just that heat expansion and cold can change that crack from something small to something large. So again, documenting, letting the client know from pictures, and if they're not aware of it, letting them know about it, kind of a CYA there. But windshield picture, again, really looking at the windshield thoroughly, identifying cracks, taking pictures, things of that nature, chips, whatever. Wheels, if you're going to be doing wheel and tire work on a vehicle, taking pictures individually of each wheel, noting curb damage or maybe a previous repair from somebody that did, maybe a poor sublet of a repaint of a wheel, or is there a lug nut missing before you actually take the wheels off the vehicle. I've encountered that several times on some vehicles over the years. There's only four. And that, again, documenting, taking pictures, kind of a CYA, but again, just building the storyline of what's going on with the vehicle. So again, correct check-in pictures. Very, very imperative. Number two, beginning and ending vehicle odometer mileage. And again, if the vehicle was not towed in a non-running condition, getting the correct in and out mileage, showing that what it was and what it was when it was left if you've test driven the vehicle. And I've had a couple weird scenarios lately, honestly, with some vehicles where the in mileage compared to the out mileage is a mile less than it was when I did the check-in picture. Just really weird stuff with some of these vehicles, but it does happen. Number three was the courtesy check or vehicle check over on the DVI. Was that filled out by the technician or the service advisor? And the technician side of it, the write-up from the technician, the pictures on the DVI explaining why they're recommending some repairs, and from the service advisor actually taking those notes or pictures from the technician and building an estimate for the client. And also part of that courtesy check or digital vehicle inspection from a service advisor standpoint, going back through prior vehicle history in your shop to checking to see what services or maintenance have been performed so they're not re-mentioned. I know on a lot of vehicles these days, the engine air filter, cabin filter are not easily accessible to the technician. So going back through the service history and before you're presenting that RO or invoice to the client or technician, documenting, hey, the cabin filter was replaced on this vehicle 10,000 miles ago by us, or things of that nature. Again, just identifying previous services performed. And it also saves the technician time as well. He's not having to look through the vehicle service history, which they can if they want to, but I find that if you can provide them that information up front, it makes things move a lot more efficiently. And you can also find some loopholes. Not everybody's shop is perfect. I think we can chase perfection, but I don't think it exists anywhere. Again, we can chase it, but again, just being proactive and looking at prior service histories. And I've found, for a brake fluid service that may be recommended every 2 years, hey, the last time the car was in, it really needed one, and we missed that opportunity because we didn't recommend it. So again, just preparing yourself, looking through previous service history. Number four was the diagnostic or evaluation information filled out by the technician properly and also as a service advisor. So when the client comes in with a check engine light concern, an ABS warning, a traction control light, as a service advisor, are you asking the right questions? How long has the light been on for? Have you experienced any differences with the vehicle? Is it acting differently, feeling differently, riding differently since this warning light's been on, Mr. or Mrs. Jones, etc.? And getting that information to supply to the technician as part of the evaluation. And is the technician, as part of that process, providing you the right write-up for that diagnostic or evaluation concern, not just supplying a code, P0456, and not really having much more supporting information than that. And when we're filling out a diagnostic line for a client and providing that information, we're obviously charging them for that time. So giving them the best information possible for the money that they're spending for that concern. Again, providing value, showing why, answering the whys to what's going on with the vehicle. Number five, the oil and filter service window sticker. If you're doing an oil and filter service on the vehicle, are you making sure to put a new oil and filter service window sticker in the windshield? And most places these days are using cling wrap stickers, things like that. I think it's great because you can take them on, take them off. But we do have a large amount of clients that take their vehicles weekly or monthly through, AutoBell or a quick car wash. And sometimes the people there take those off and those visual reminders aren't there, but having that information documented on the RO, so that if the client calls and says, hey, I lost my oil change sticker, or, someone took it off when I had my car cleaned, could you tell me the last mileage that you guys did my service? And being able to pull that information up to let them know, hey, you're not quite due yet. Hey, you're overdue. So again, having that information on hand and attached to the RO is a great idea. Number 6, were the part or parts ordered and applied correctly to the invoice? And I guess that is definitely important because you want to make sure you're billing the right parts for the jobs. And hopefully, technicians are supplying you parts and labor for the jobs that are recommended. If they're not canned jobs, and if you're using canned jobs, please, please, please always look back through to make sure that all the information is there for that canned job. I have seen over the years with different systems, operating systems, point of sale systems, where it drops parts, doesn't account for a part being there if the quantity's low. So again, just verifying you've got the right parts and or the parts and labor on that ticket. But for the parts, are you ordering the parts out of WorldPack? Are you getting them from a dealership? And then when those parts are coming in, are you tying them to that invoice? Because there's other people behind the scenes, likely your place of work, that are doing those things behind the scenes, for accounting purposes, things of that nature. So having that information correct is very important. It saves time for everybody. Job tasks completed and completed with notes. And what that looks like is, client came in for an oil and filter service, or the client came in for a check engine light, or the client came in for a brake fluid service. Are you documenting once you've performed that job that the job was completed? Technician performed, client authorized work, job complete. And again, that's important. You're finishing out what they signed on for, what the service is. There's no guesswork. Job complete. If it doesn't say job complete and they paid, could be contestable, could be open-ended. But again, job complete on every job that you do, and make sure that that's documented. For sublets, are you providing the date that the sublet was performed? Are you providing the cost of that sublet? And then what you're charging retail for that sublet, if you are charging retail. And again, also marking job complete for those sublets. So again, just keeping track of, dates, costs, who the vendor was for that sublet. Was it a towing service? Did you have a rim repair performed for a client? We have a company locally called RimGuard. They do a great job. So, when I'm going through, hey, RimGuard was the vendor. They did it for this price. They did it on this date, and authorized work completed. No problem. The marketing source, was the marketing source entered or applied correctly on the invoice or RO from that client? So if it's a new client, obviously you want to know how they heard about you. That's really important, so you can track where your marketing dollars are going. Was it a Google, or did they find you on Google? Was it a referral? Was it a repeat client? And marking that box, marketing source, how they hear about you. Payments, was the payment applied correctly when the client picked up their vehicle? And what did they pay, cash? Did they pay by check? Was it Visa, MasterCard, Amex? Was it a shop write-off? Was it a warranty? Documenting the right thing on the RO for payment applied. And what we do is, for the payment that we apply for the person picking up, we'll put our initials next to it. So if I'm actually checking that client out and it wasn't a client that I worked with, and I'm showing that they paid with a Visa, I'm writing the Visa authorization code on the invoice under payment, and I'm putting my initials in next to it so that the accounting person knows who closed that ticket. So if there's an issue or a question, they can come talk to me directly about it. And again, it's just tying accountability to it. And that was the next one, who checked out that client. So if it's somebody that I'm working with, I'm very familiar with what we've already talked about. And if it's not somebody that I've worked with and I'm assisting a coworker that's with maybe working with another client at the time, or they're on the phone with somebody, they're not in the building, and I'm checking out somebody that they worked with, again, I'm applying the correct payment method. And I'm also asking them questions. Do you have any questions about the work that was performed on the vehicle? And thanking them for their business. If I'm not able to answer the questions they have and the person is not on site that worked with them, I will let them know that we'll have that person call them as soon as they can to answer those questions. Haven't really had any issues or bumps in the road there, but again, just making sure that the questions are answered and that you're thanking them for their business. Addresses. Are you getting the addresses of the new clients that are coming in, which is helping, marketing know where they're coming from, what area they're coming from logistically. And also that address likely is tying to, if the client paid with a credit card, it's verifying that the address and the credit card kind of match up. So it's helping you there again, CYA. So if it's a new client, get that address. If it's not a new client, do they have an updated address? Some clients we're seeing 6 months. Some clients we're seeing once a year. Is it possible that they moved? Yes. So again, get that updated address. But the Service Advisor Audit, again, it really has, for a better word, sharpened the pencil to improve skills and identify pattern failure. I found out from me doing it for over a year and a half that I'm really horrible at getting addresses. And I think the reason for that, when I'm on the phone with a client and I'm making the service reservation, depending on who I'm talking to, if it's, if it's a talker, if it's a chatty Cathy or a conversational Colin, if you would, and they're more talkative, that's information I can get from them up front. If it's somebody that's just kind of more to the point and they just want to talk about their car and, hey, when can I come in and when can you do this for me? And it seems like they're pressed for time or less conversational, I'm not going to ask them for their address at that time. And I think that's where I fail to recapture it. And then when they come to pick up, they've already closed out and I didn't remember to get the address. So that has taught me over the year, over the year and a half that we've been doing this, I need to be more proactive in getting the address. But again, 12 things: correct vehicle check-in pictures, again, very imperative, beginning and ending vehicle mileage, and a courtesy check or vehicle check over information with notes and prior service history that you've done in your shop for the technician to see and the client. And again, sometimes you find loopholes in there where a service may have not been done. But the diagnostic or evaluation time questions, were they answered properly? Oil and filter service sticker, was it put in the windshield or was it documented for the mileage? Parts ordered or parts applied correctly to that invoice or job or RO. Job tasks completed with notes. Sublet, again, sublet cost, retail, who the vendor was, the date that it was done, all important stuff. Marketing source, again, entering where they heard about you, very important. Payment applied correctly when they're cashing out, who checked out that client, and not last but not least, the address, making sure you're getting the address. So 12 things that we grade ourselves on internally for a service advisor audit. And these are things, again, that I should be doing or a service advisor should be doing correctly all the time. But again, depending on the day, the amount of things you have going on, it can get a little hectic. So this has taught me to kind of slow down, just verify things. But again, those 12 things are making me become a better service advisor, have made me become a better service advisor. So I thank our business manager for collecting that data and making a Google Doc. And it's something that we review weekly. And again, the questions for those, the answers are either yes, it was done right, no, it was not done right, or NA. So if we have someone that comes in for a diagnostic that doesn't do an oil service, we're checking NA for the oil service, and again, we're graded on how many we got right out of how many opportunities there were. So if there's 12 opportunities, did I get 8 out of 12? Did I get 10 out of 12? Did I get 12 out of 12? But for the ones that are answered in a no, there's a comment box that is filled out and why that one in particular, 1 out of 12, was checked no. Was it there was no ending mileage picture? Was it, no, a part wasn't ordered correctly? Things of that nature. So again, it's identifying pattern failure. And then we talk about it the next week. And it's really just helped me personally. And I think the other service advisor as well. So again, business manager, thank you for putting that together for us. So again, service advisors, I know it's difficult to handle extra things, but again, from an improving skills standpoint, this truly will help you get your stuff together and identify pattern failure. And if you're getting 100 all the time, 100% all the time every week, that's great. But we do for every RO that comes through the door, every invoice that comes through the door. I have myself and another service advisor that I work with on a daily basis. And I grade her service advisor audit, and the business manager grades my service advisor audit. And at the end of the month, we tally up the numbers. And if I believe it was 98% or better, we get an additional $100 added to our bonus at the end of the month, which I think is fantastic. And again, for things that we should be doing correctly anyways. But it's made me be aware again that I really stink at getting addresses, and I'm going to be better at doing that. So again, just things that could help you improve your skills. And I thank you again, WorldPack, for your sponsorship. WorldPack has been great to us at our shop. They get us 6 deliveries a day, I think it is. Maybe it's even 8 now, 6 to 8, somewhere in there. And just as soon as I hit order, the parts show up. It's like I feel like they've hired drivers from Jimmy John's. The parts show up that quickly. It's crazy. But again, thank you, Worldpac, for your sponsorship. And thank you, Service Advisor Nation, for listening to another episode of the AutoFix Advisor Cast. And I hope you all have a great week upcoming with work and helping clients. And yeah, thank you so much. All right. Take it easy.